Welcome to the Growth and Banter podcast. My name is Blake McCullough, the CEO and founder of GMS Media Group, one of Australia's leading creative digital advertising agencies. This podcast is for any business owner or aspiring business owner looking to learn the strategies and insights to navigate today's complex digital landscape. For episode 2, I'm joined by my good friends Adam and Raquel from Who is Elijah, and we're going to talk about the secrets and strategies that they use to disrupt a flooded industry in the perfume sector. Hope you enjoy. So welcome, guys.
Hi, Blake.
Thanks for coming in your busy schedules.
Yes.
Always
No
time for
worries.
you.
So I want to start. Who is Elijah, for those who don't know?
Well, sometimes I say me, but I think the question that everyone always asks is where did this name come from and what does it mean? So in 2017, I went to Coachella with a group of my best friends and my new boyfriend, who's now my husband.
And you've been there every year since, right?
Pretty much.
Except for the COVID shutdown years, yeah.
I missed out this year.
Yeah.
I'll go
We're
next
going
year.
next year if you want to.
actually.
Definitely. We'll go.
But it was at Coachella that my friend Matt brought along a friend and she just smelled amazing, and it was a fragrance oil from India, and I don't know, I just fell in love with it, like really weird. I was only 23, so I didn't really care about perfume back then. But yeah, I just got addicted to it and like smelling it, and I wanted to smell like it. So when I got home, I bought it and then started wearing it around Sydney. Adam lived in Vaucluse, so we were hanging out in the East a lot. And I just had so many people coming up to me, like tapping me on the shoulder, asking what fragrance I was wearing. And then it was just a light bulb drunken idea to create a perfume with
And
my
that's the best ideas when you do
Yeah.
it.
We've had a few.
yeah, we've had a few, but they've all worked out.
They all work out.
And it was Matt and I actually said to Matt one night over a glass of rosé, why don't we create a fragrance that smells similar to this, because everyone loves it. And then we sort of started this little venture together, and then he wanted to call it Raquel and Elijah, just because he really likes the name Elijah. And then he decided to part ways quite early on. And then one day I was just sitting at my desk and I said, who the fuck is Elijah? Because Elijah was never anyone.
And I think that's it's actually become such a great name for the brand as well. Like the brand is marketing. It's like Who is Elijah creates mystique. It creates this unknown.
Yeah.
And like, I think brand is something that sometimes at the start you neglect, but it is actually quite important as you grow and scale, which you guys have done a phenomenal job at, and we'll talk about that today. But yeah, like the branding itself, like how important has that name been for you guys, particularly now where you are scaling and you know, doing massive things, and you're overseas, and even I saw the billboards over in America, and you've just got the name, the logo is the headline, like Who is Elijah? It's like you don't really need to say much more.
No, yeah. Look, I wish I could say I was a marketing genius, but I think it was a
Just
bit of a
luck.
fluke. But from the start, I did say like I don't want it to sound like a perfume brand.
Yeah.
I just think I think when you think perfume, I think you think France, and like we're obviously not in France right now. So I wanted it to sound a little bit different. And like now that we've come this far, it's like I'm so glad I went with a name like that, because now like we can make any product. We haven't limited ourselves like to just perfume, because Who is Elijah can be anything.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah,
think
so
another
true.
good thing is like everyone always asks like, who is Elijah? And like people walk past it and like look at it, and like I think that's almost like what gets them in the initial step sometimes, if they're sort of seeing it and not knowing what it is. So
Yeah.
a good fluke.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
even like music artists end up just creating a name, and that's their alias, right? So
Yeah.
like it is such an important thing to get the brand right. And I feel like that's what's happening now, is that, you know, marketing and online business was all about getting results, but I feel now it's, you know, with the evolution with digital media, with AI, with video as well, like it has gone back to brand and community. And I think like that's why we're here today, to talk about how you guys have phenomenally disrupted such a flooded industry. Like aside from the brand, aside from you guys, you know, I know you, Adam, like since I've known you, you've always been like so entrepreneurial, and you've had a few other things going before joining Raquel on her journey, and you're such a hustler.
Yeah.
But like, what do you think some of the main events have been for you guys to really crack the perfume market? You know, it being such an established and flooded industry.
I think at the beginning when it was just me, I think that no one else was doing it. Or, I mean, there probably obviously was, but like, I can't really recall.
From like a
Just like from like a, not the Burberry's, not the
Yes.
big, heritage
like the
luxury brands.
luxury
There was like not that many
brands.
niche. Like of course there was Le Labo and Byredo back then, but they
I
were.
swear I don't wear that anymore.
Yeah, better not. But like in Australia, like I don't think there was anyone doing it. So I think that like niche, especially when I approached David Jones, really they wanted something fresh and new, and they really liked the smell. So I think that sort of helped us in the beginning. And then I really believe that we wouldn't be where we are today unless Adam joined the business, because I think I would have put us into bankruptcy 10 times. So I think Adam coming in with like, a lot more experience at running a business, and he's so good at just like picking something to learning it and really becoming like an assassin of it. Like learning like how to do like our Facebook marketing. Like that's like, we wouldn't be where we are today. I mean, I've been really good at building the retail side of it, but I think like, we traditionally wanted to be a D2C brand, and I don't think I could have done it myself.
It's been when you look back over the last 2 to 3 years, like getting into David Jones was probably like a really pivotal moment. We were sitting at dinner actually in Cronulla at Salts Meets Cheese, and we were having a pizza, and we said to us, like, Raquel said, if I get into David Jones, I'm going to quit my job. And that was only like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It's not that long ago in the big picture.
Yeah, COVID was only like a year and
it was 2020.
just 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, we went to dinner because she got David Jones, and we cheers, and we're like, that's it. Tomorrow you're going to go and quit your job.
And that was at Snatch It, right?
And Raquel was still at Crystal Brook,
the hotels.
and I was still doing kitchens and Snatch It and NTFL, and I was still like everywhere, heaps on. But
just had a baby.
I was in Who Was Elijah, in the early days, just helping out where I could and building the garage so we could have more room, and like getting to the storage shed so we could have more room again. And then David Jones, and then Adore Beauty was a big moment for the brand that just gave us that brand credibility online. COVID happened, our wholesalers just stopped, and then online just kicked on. So we sort of had no choice but to really go full head into online, because our wholesale division stopped overnight.
And I feel like Adore kind of like showed us that we can sell perfume online, because at the beginning I was like, oh, no one's going to buy it online, they can't smell it. And that was before we were doing like the sample vials as well. So fuck, we've come a long way.
In a short amount of time.
And like sensory, I always, obviously with like so many brands we've marketed, it's hard to go out and just start advertising and marketing a brand, particularly if it requires a taste or a smell, like sensory items or things that you have to try, and that you have to try once before you like it. It's like you're buying it based on potential. So I think like even working with you guys in the early stages, I've seen you guys hit those milestones, and the common thread between like a lot of our successful brands and you guys is that I feel like those strategic partnerships you guys have aligned yourself with, and the content is so spot on right now as well. Like seeing it all the time, and it's just different. You've got the diversity going on. I remember when like we were helping you guys at the early stages, like we weren't offering creative, and you guys didn't have that creative sort of like down pat yet.
Didn't know how to do
and
it.
it's such a key thing. It's like brands think that you can just go out there, even in a year or two. It's like such a short time in business, and just start adadvertising and have like a few photos. It's like it doesn't really work like that anymore. Particularly with the complexity of like TikTok and reels and stories and news feeds, let alone billboards and traditional media. So like, talk us through how you guys have been able to keep up to date with all that content to sort of, to sort of scale the brand online.
Yeah, well, we started to build out our team, once we really went to online. We brought in Jazz, she's now the creative and content manager. She started in the warehouse. She just had a really good, brain for content and the way that the brand should be perceived by others. We just let her free run essentially, and she's just done amazing at really just putting the brand in a spot of the right demographic, the right content that suits that. She's very like meticulous about, no, that doesn't represent the brand. It's not getting posted. And Raquel,
that's good.
Something that like has probably been looked over is that the brand really kicked off once Raquel put her face behind the brand properly.
Yeah.
And to anyone listening, you know, people that when a brand has someone that attaches themselves to the brand and becomes the brand, the story gets much more interesting, right? And when
there's a
story behind it, and yes, the story evolves as Raquel or that person evolves. And now we've sort of, you know, when Raquel decided that was it, and she just put volume of content out about her and the brand and the kids and the story and the products and everything, took us to that new level, right? Because we didn't have to create content. We were just documenting content. And, you know, it's such an easy way to create content at more scale if you're documenting instead of having meetings about creating.
That's so true. It's like you're doing it as you go. You're almost documenting your journey, right? And like I've seen it where we're even out, you know, for a lunch, and if that product's with you, you can create content anywhere you are. It's so like you have little, you know, perfumes in your pocket, and you just like you can literally create content on your phone anywhere you are. And I think that's like a really important point, is that brands probably just think, oh, I need to do this whole photo shoot, and you know, every month I need to get these professional, and there's always a time and place for that. Like there is definitely a time and place for professional photo shoots and video shoots and getting influencers on there, but don't neglect the everyday content that you guys are doing behind the scenes and living your life and being out overseas and at lunches and at barbecues.
That's what performs the best for us still, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the raw stuff. It's the authentic stuff.
The videos of the girls in the warehouse, just,
people love that.
Packing orders or filling products and, you know, having fun down there. It's, you know, people have gotten behind the brand and somewhat recognize the girls in the warehouse through the content, and, you know, everybody sort of has their little part to play in it. And we were doing content,
getting everyone on board it.
When we're doing content shoots in the office, it's like someone just comes down with the iPhone and there's 30 people down there to choose to make content with. So it's easy.
Like you.
It's like you're today, you know.
No, we give them a choice.
There is, and then there is this like much more branded element that is equally as important now as we sort of found our feet and people recognize the brand a lot more. We have to sort of stand up and not be this just, you know, warehouse content of the girls. We have to represent a product and who we are trying to be. And that's when the discussions come in. But having the ability to make that content quickly and then feed it through ad accounts and write copy and do it all in-house, that's where the speed comes into it. And I think that we've gotten really good over the last 6 to 12 months at doing that, and it's key. It's key.
I think that's the natural progression as well, right? Like, you know, like when we're working with Culture Kings, for instance, you know, before Simon sort of sold out of that, and you know, we were sort of just working with his team. His team was bigger than ours at the time, but they just wanted a soundboard, you know, like they had their internal team. They had like 8 people in their marketing division, you know, and he was just like, I need to know how to spend more, you know, just to get results, you know, just spend more and spend more. Like, or maybe it's more like spend efficiently. But I've seen you guys sort of transition from, you know, external resources to internal resources. And speaking of warehouse, I saw a little snippet of that behemoth space.
It's so big.
Talk us through that. Where is that?
It's just in Tarrant Point. It's around the corner from where we were. I knew that I sort of gave us this deadline of like February next year to be in a new space, because the walls are literally caving in on us in the current space. We've got 2 warehouses side by side. We've got 2 storage sheds at a Storage King around the corner. And it's just all, you know, we could stick it out for a while and we could hang there, but this thing came up and I actually looked at it 6 months ago and I thought, oh, I would love that, but we're not ready yet. And I messaged the agent. I'm like, is this thing still available? He goes, yeah, it's ready.
It was really,
So they just finished building it, and it's, you know, 750 square meters, 3 levels of office. You know, we can really
cool.
we can really become this, you know, proper business.
You guys are already proper business.
Yeah,
it's going to go to another level.
It's going to go to a new level.
I think we're just ready for that next level.
Gives the team this motivation in this new place, that, you know, new levels and new expectations and a new way for us to be who was Elijah. So it's super exciting.
Awesome.
Grown ups.
I'll be back down in Cronulla in 6 months.
You will
I'll be stopping
Come
by.
past.
Yeah.
To get
Having
your
lunch
desk.
at Bobby's.
Lunch at Bobby's.
No more salt wines and cheese.
No.
And I want to talk about like Adam, like your backstory as well. Because like we've known I think we knew each other before.
Yeah.
Raquel and I knew each other.
Yeah.
And you know, even all, you know, everyone who knows you has always known that you were always going to be a success, and you've done so well with like, you know, yeah, like you said, self-learning, self-educating, and just going out there and grasping opportunities. Talk us through like the journey that you've had, and that sort of like, I guess, decision to step into Who Was Elijah and sort of and assume that CEO role.
Yeah, well, for me, it started in 2013. So I've been running my own businesses for 10, nearly 12, 11 years now. And I started out as a apprentice cabinet maker on like $10 an hour, you know, and
Gotta start somewhere.
did that apprenticeship and hated it at the end of it. But, you know, had to get a job from Cronulla. You're a tradie and you play footy. Yeah. So I did that. I
was driving the Sharks courtesy bus.
Yeah. Well, you drive the courtesy bus.
Yeah.
And I finished my apprenticeship, and 6 of my mates, we just quit our jobs, sold our cars, cashed in our footy money, and just went overseas for 6 months, one-way ticket. Came back, needed a job, had my apprenticeship under my belt, so found myself doing cabinet making again, got a really good opportunity to go to China and do some work for a client's house. Decided at the time, okay, maybe I could do this because people are asking me to do work for them. So I started my kitchen design business. That went for 8 years from 2013. And during that time, we were just talking before, I started with Ty Lopez in the OG days of Ty and Gary Vee. And
he had started working with Ty.
Yeah, he had a program that was like 67 steps about self-awareness and business and all of that. And no one in my family had ever been, you know, my close family. Obviously, Mark has been super successful, but I didn't always have access to Mark. So I just did this program, and I sort of became, my eyes started to light up about what else was out there. So on the back of doing that, I went to dinner with one of my mates, and I'm like, we need to make money at nighttime when we're asleep. You know that saying, you need to make money while you sleep.
Passive income.
And we're like, let's start a bow tie brand, a tie company selling like funny, loud bow ties.
Nice ties.
And
nice guys finished last.
Nice ties finished
That's
last.
right. Yeah, I remember.
And it was NTFL.
Yeah.
And we thought it was fun and it was cool, and people loved the products in the beginning, early Instagram days. I got that into a partnership with Gary Vee and Vayner Sports, flew to America.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so Gary put a short story out, and he's like, I need an accessories company for Vayner Sports. And I just DM'd him back. I'm like, I do accessories. and he's like, yeah, come meet Tyler. So we sent him the product, and it went over there, and we started we had a contract with them for 12 months to give like 6 of their NFL athletes bow ties for the whole year of the NFL season. And that kicked off a little bit. It didn't work amazingly, the influencer side of that transaction. On the back of that, I'm like, we need to be able to transact in a piece of content because this influencer marketing thing wasn't working. So I started an app called Snatch with my brother, where you could create essentially add a product to a piece of content, and that piece of content would turn into a website, and you could use that URL anywhere and transact inside the moment and share it and all that type of stuff. And that we got that to about 200 retailers, about 10,000 users, tried to get funding for it, and it just failed. Yeah. Just straight up put a line through it was done. So I was still going through kitchens and NTFL at the time, and it was all happening at the same time. Raquel had just kicked off with Who Was Elijah, and I decided that I was going to sell Be Inspired Kitchens. So I sold my kitchen company, which was a pretty cool thing to do at the time. And Who Was Elijah started to need me. I was sort of still hopeful of Snatch It and NTFL, and I just had to like call a spade. Sometimes you just got to call it.
It was like yesterday as well, because I remember helping
you helping me out here in the office.
That's right,
yeah. And Raquel was doing so well, and I started to realize, okay, this is going to be something special. So I just threw it all in and came and helped Raquel from like 2 years in. You know, officially 2 years in, I came into the office, and we're just saying in the car, like I love it so much. I love the progress of it. I'm like, you know, it's just me. Like I just love being, in control of that there.
And it shows as well. You know, you guys have that like instinct passion for the brand.
Yeah. And so it's been 11 years for me, like in the trenches with business. It's not like 2 years. Like
there's no overnight success.
There's no overnight, and I think that,
is this the easiest one? Yeah.
This has probably been the easiest one, and it's as you said also the hardest, but on the back of a good brand,
yes,
and a product that's in demand. The other companies I had didn't have products that were in demand.
It's like a really key football player working with a bad team. It's like there's only so much you can do.
So much you can do, and this is why I'm so like grateful that the product is what it is, and that Raquel built the brand from the beginning by fluke the way that she did, because it is in demand and it is being spoken about. And I know what it feels like to have brands and companies that no one cares about.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really, powerful, this thing at the moment.
And I think you guys, like, I want to get into like now you guys working together. I'm sure a lot of people see, couples or husband and wife situations working the same business as scary. It can lead to problems, but you guys make marriage and business look really easy, and you have fun, and you've got 2 kids, and you travel the world, and you probably go out more than anybody. I know you're settling a little bit more now. No, I'm joking. But like, I want to talk about the balance of all of that. Like having kids, having a successful business, a thriving business, and being able to still enjoy and have that work-life balance. And I know not only important for you guys, but to instill that into your team and have that culture, which I can see that your team has hands down. Like Adam, I know you're out, like I was out with you with your team, and you just like to go have fun with your team. Like that's pretty hard to find a company that you're leading and you're able just to go out on the weekend and have fun for the sake of it. Like, talk us through that whole dynamic of how you guys have just been able to crack that code outside of like building a great business, like marriage, doing it all together, work life. How do you do it? What's your secret?
Well, there's no secret answer. No, I think there's quite a few things. So starting with like the marriage and the kids thing, that old thing, it's a great support system. Like Adam's mum is just, I don't think we could do it without her, to be honest. She's very helpful.
Yeah.
But again, we sacrificed a lot of the kids when we first had them, because I put them in daycare at 10 weeks old. Not many people do that. I think I probably got talked about a lot for doing that. Yeah. But I just decided like I wanted to work and I wanted a career. I now looking back on it, I was too young having kids at 25. Like I now feel ready to have kids, and they're nearly 5 and 2. But I think again that naivety, it was like, oh, what do you mean I shouldn't just put them in daycare? Like it's fine, they're well looked after. So I think that was really helpful. It got me back into like what I wanted to be doing. So there was no like animosity between us, I think. And then Adam's mum being really helpful. And then Adam's amazing. And then I don't know, it's going to sound so corny, but we're just best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's like, when we decided that Who Was Larger was going to be we're going for it properly. Just like I wanted her to succeed, and this is before I was like completely in. I was like, of course, like go as hard as you can, let's use all the money we have and just go for it. So I always wanted that from the beginning. And I still have this great respect for Raquel, that it is her business. Yes, I might run the show, but it is her business. And I will always be respectful of that no matter what happens. That's awesome.
There's no competition. You guys are working together. That's a really important thing.
And I think, we spend all day, every day together. Yeah. Every moment of the day, and we're still trying to find more time to spend with each other.
Yeah, that's great.
And we just, we did get through the early years of the business when it was really, really stressful. Like, yes, we went out and, we traveled here and there, but behind the scenes, we were hurting.
Yeah.
Right? The business was hurting badly financially. Yeah. And we had this great product that was scaling, but behind the scenes, we were like running around like crazy. And we just knew each other's day to day because we were with each other all the time. I knew her calendar. I knew the stress. I knew what pain that she was in. So when she would come home later or earlier or whatever, I knew, take the kids out, let's go. because we have that working relationship. Whereas if it was the other way and we both had our own separate businesses going through this painful times, we would be leaning on each other and really wanting that help from the other one. And that causes that problem, I think, in couples when they fight like that.
Yeah.
And I think knowing, like, being with each other every day is, I don't know what we would do if we didn't have the business. I don't know what we would talk about or you know, how we would interact at home and stuff. Like,
it's a good point.
It's so
you
strange.
guys have so much to discuss all the time.
Yeah.
Because you're in the thick of it together.
Yeah. And I think, you know, knowing that, again, giving complete respect to her, that it is her business, you know, and that
our business.
She and it's ours now, of course, you know, but she does product, she does branding. Her intuition, Raquel's intuition, is the most important thing in the whole thing. Doesn't matter how good I am with numbers and team and structure and Facebook ads. It's like, if Raquel's intuition isn't fully going forward, then the brand stops.
You're the visionary, Raquel.
That's right. So, you know, the more that
You're sitting with a legend.
the more that I can, you know, pull everything away from underneath that, so that that's all she can think about. That's why we work so good together.
And that's taken a long time together, not because of you, but like we've only just now got like a full team. Like, because for now I only do really product. But up until, I don't know, when did Bridget start? 2 months ago
2 months
now?
ago, yeah.
So Bridget actually came to us from Priceline as our global wholesale account manager. And she has taught us so much. Like, no wonder we've been having all of these finance problems. Because like, she's taught us so much about retail, like how to negotiate a contract, payment terms. Like, you know, we've got, we always have like so much money that is so overdue. And then so that makes us like need to like get loans and use credit. And it's like, well, we're financing other people's businesses when it's like we're giving it our product for free and then chasing the money for months.
People forget that you're both D2C and also B2B, you know. You've got both like two different business models.
Completely different.
Completely different. And it's, so we're making some changes next year because it's just getting so messy. But she has really come on. So that alleviated 70% of my time, because I would like wholesale admin, you know, debt collecting, sales. So that's been really helpful. But who else? And social media. I was doing social media as well. So now that's taken off my plate.
Yeah, and I think that,
which is why you guys are here and able to take time on your day to talk, right?
Exactly. Like I think that we've gotten through that. You know, this version of the hard part is probably more hard coming. But if we sort of got through that point where we're so ingrained in each other's day-to-day tasks that now we sort of run like separate races, essentially. Like, we obviously talk every day about stuff, but not the nitty-gritty conversations that I need to know everything that she's doing because it affects this and this. It's not like that anymore.
Staying in each other's lanes.
So we can, like, you know, we can completely run our own days and meet in the middle and just hang. So it's quite good. Aside
from team and resources, I saw you speak at the Salesforce World Tour, and I want to talk about systems, because that's another big thing. Allows you to scale the business, not just having team. And you know, you guys have gone from a lot of manual stuff, particularly in packaging and warehousing, but not only that, but stockists. And you know, I'm sure that you probably were banging on doors and just calling people up and going, hey, stock my brand. And replacing that manual labor with a system like Salesforce that I know you guys spent a lot of time doing and building up, to enable the stockist to be able to go and basically become a stockist online without the need to, you know, manually call someone up and hustle and bang on their door. Talk us through how pivotal that Salesforce, or even just the system that you built from a stockist point of view, was. Well, it came about because we had, you know, people in-house at the time that was doing that manually, managing inventory and managing the wholesale accounts. And we were early days and we just couldn't afford these people anymore, because we just thought we just needed to put people on it and they will figure it out. But you can't just put people on something when there's no system underneath it. It'll just eventually fall on its face. And it did. So we had to think quickly, and we were sort of like, with Salesforce, you know, has its moments and it can be expensive, and it is. But in the beginning for us, the reason why we went with it was because we were replacing two people's full wages of 80 grand and 90 grand. So for a 50 grand build or 60 grand build, we were saving money. So
it was an obvious choice. And then we did it because the product started to find its feet in the world, in Australia anyway. And we didn't know, we had so many requests for people wanting to stock it. We just couldn't keep up with it. So we built Salesforce, and it connected our inventory and our dispatch and all that technical stuff. But essentially a retailer that wanted to stock the product could just apply online. We would approve yes or no after they fill out a questionnaire, and an order would be created, send them samples, and it was done with a couple of clicks. So we went from having an account manager running 40 accounts to no account manager with 350 accounts.
Yeah, wow. It's insane.
Just because one piece of tech.
Yeah, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was really pivotal for us in our wholesale acquisition. Absolutely.
And then that like enables more touch points with a customer, particularly if they don't know or have tried your brand. So for instance, you know, someone might have seen an ad and then they then go into a store that they like shopping at, then they see a product, then they do a quick little cheeky spray. They're like, that's really good. Then they go back online, then they see an ad for an offer and then they buy it. So like having that ecosystem of like being able to be shown everywhere, I think is also super important, right?
Yeah, and we looked at it like the wholesale stores were our pop-up stores.
Yeah.
That's sort of the mentality we had with it. So, and it does help us out, like, you can't measure it as far as like a returning customer to online if they've purchased in wholesale, but it plays a significant part in big sale days like Black Friday and end of financial year, because as you said, they've gone to store, they've smelt it in store, they've maybe purchased in store, they've got it at home, and then we have a big moment online and we don't know who they are. They're not in any of our databases, but they've probably followed us on Instagram because they've got it. And all of a sudden we just get this new customer that is actually a returning customer that we just couldn't track because they went through wholesale.
Yeah. Let's get some product out. Let's try some of the
next to you.
over here. Okay, right next to me. So we've got Rebel Rose.
The new ones. Yeah.
So I think I've only smelled this once. I know Kirsten likes this one.
Yeah.
My favourite's Wall Street.
I brought you Wall Street, the other one.
So that's Nomad. That's a gun one as well. So Nomad was your bestseller, right?
Still
It
is.
still is. It's still your bestseller.
It's still a bestseller.
Yeah.
Can't be beat.
Yeah, wow. And then what's killer? Because we're in the middle of Black Friday right now.
Yeah.
Like today is
Yeah.
Black Friday, Monday, Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
I know there's a big lead in time to that. Like what's killing it at the moment?
Nomad. And then is it Morning After or Rebel Rose?
Nomad and Quick. That'd be good for the audio.
Oh, they're very tight in there.
Very tight in there.
You squeeze it in for me.
Yeah. Nomad's killer and Rebel Rose in Wall Street.
Yeah.
That one's the best.
Yeah,
Wall
and then
Street's my favourite.
the new
But you
one.
can mix the Wall Street with the Rebel Rose,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It smells better.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just gives it a bit of a twist.
You do a
Oh, yeah.
twist. Yeah.
It's really
I see what you're
good.
saying.
And the new one is Ocean Eyes. So
But I want you to try the little 2 ml samples. So we haven't
This
launched.
is a new one?
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't think I've shown you
Ocean
yet.
Eyes. Okay, no, I've not seen this
I
one.
feel like you'll really like this one.
Okay.
It's quite masculine.
I like how you've like purposely got the color blue in it as well, so it
Yeah.
looks like the ocean.
Yeah.
Like how purposeful is the colors of the
Rebel
Yeah,
Rose was the first one that we actually dyed,
Yeah.
like put color in it, just because it wasn't a very nice color naturally.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's nice,
That's really
hey?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And then I just feel like Ocean Eyes just had to be blue.
And who comes like because like since the first one, which was his, her, and her, and I loved his, her.
yeah.
And then you just seem to keep creating like better and better and better
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Like not that none of them are bad, but
Yeah.
like how do you keep coming up with all these amazing scents? Like how's the sort of research go into it? Like who's the brains behind it? Obviously it can't, like I'm sure you've got a big part to play in it, but like there's got to be at least a bit of a team behind like coming up with these ideas now, right?
Well, how long has it been since we started working with Brad now? Is it coming up to 2 years?
Yeah.
So coming up to 2 years now, we started working with our current perfumer, and he's so good. Like his dad was a perfumer. He does, so Brad does flavors and scents. So like he does the flavors for some of Australia's biggest like food brands,
companies,
companies. I don't know, he's just got this nose. He travels around the globe, like every 2 to 3 months he's in a different country, bringing like sourcing ingredients. And I mean, he is really like the pioneer behind the fragrances. I'm not going to try and take the credit for them. But he comes to me, and like I went and saw him last Friday, and he had 12 fragrances for me to smell that he's just working on. And you know, I don't always love them all, but it's also not always like, here's a fragrance, do you want to make this? It's like, this works really well with this, and these are the fragrance notes, and I think we should mix this. And
a full science to it.
There's such a science to it. And he's just brought on another perfumer, Ivan from France, and he's so cool. He's so funny, good. And I mean, he's from France, so of course he's good at perfume. So I mean, Brad is definitely the pioneer behind it. But I mean, we go overseas and we'll smell, you know, maybe like we're staying at a hotel, we might smell like a body wash, and it's not even a perfume, and we bring it back, and we tell Brad like, make something like this. And
I think what's important, she's probably being modest here, is that doesn't matter how many samples Brad puts on the table, Raquel picks one.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Or two at the time, or whatever it is that we're going to launch. And she commits to it because she smells it in that moment and is like, that's the one. And then it will turn into Nomad, and we'll sell 50,000 units of it.
Yeah, wow.
It doesn't then come to, you know, a board of discussion or sample, or like, you know, at scale sampling or any of that. She'll just decide that one intuitively is what I want to do for the brand. Let's go with it.
Yeah, so you're so in tune with not only the brand, what you've built, the customers, and you're repeating success. I don't think it is a fluke anymore. I think you know what you're doing.
No, it's definitely not a fluke anymore. But you're kind of right. I don't really let the team decide anything, do I? I just do it.
There's this process that we have when it's we do have a process in place for like how we do, you know, find inspiration and do this and this. Yeah. And then there's another step in there that's name the fragrance. So if you get, and we'll throw it up to the team, if you name it, we'll give you $500. Right, but obviously no one knows about the fragrance until Raquel knows what it is. So she comes in and she goes, "Oh, this is what we're going to do. It's called Nomad. I win."
I don't say it like that.
I'm like, whoa.
No, Jazz came out with Rebel Rose.
That's not fair.
I don't know, because as soon as I smell it.
And she's named 9 of them.
Wow.
But she hasn't got her money yet.
Like, you're the brains behind it.
They come to me as soon as I smell it. It comes to me like
That's
Ocean Eyes
has
sea salt in it. So I smelled it. I'm like, oh my god, we have to call this Ocean Eyes.
In itself. And the names have been so spot on. I think like the names actually correlate with, and I know like your slogan, we don't make perfume, we make memories. Like that's so key because I feel it's so true. It's almost like music as well. You can listen to you know, your favorite song from back in the day, and it just automatically brings back a memory. And I think like perfume does a similar thing. Like, you know, you might wear one that you go out and have fun with. You might wear one that you, you know, are at work with, or you're at a function, like for a professional setting. Like there's all these different types of scenarios. And I feel like you're sort of doing that a lot. Like that is what people will associate with from all your different types of products. It's so good. But you guys are obviously like, so many people look up to you on a great level with everything you've done so far, but you know, it's not all glitz and glam. I know what you see on Instagram is not necessarily what goes on behind closed doors in the warehouse, and now the Juggernaut warehouse soon to be.
That's what we should call it.
The Juggernaut headquarters.
I like that.
Like what's been some of the challenges? Obviously there's, you know, a bit of adversity that you mentioned before, Raquel, you know, with managing finances, you know, I can completely relate to that as well, running a business and growing and doubling the team. And you just, without having that like forecast, it's very hard to scale without hitting road bumps. Like what do you feel has been some of the biggest challenges for you guys?
The biggest one, even still to this day right now, is still finances, because
it's a killer.
It's always, I don't know, I always listen to podcasts and everyone says
just
it.
F off.
I know, right?
We paid it our Baz on the way here.
Oh god.
But it makes, and that's why I feel like we spoke about this last week. Like I feel like Adam and I are quite good. We do talk about this a lot, mostly on podcasts. Like we're so happy to say like our fuck ups and like everything that we do wrong and all the hard times, because we're only human. But it's like when I listen to like bigger brands than us talk about it, it makes me feel better. And it's like, okay, so maybe I'm not an idiot because it's not that long ago I was sitting on the couch crying, wanting to give up because we had no money in the bank, and this is like 3 months ago. We had sold a lot of product, but no one was paying us. So it's like, you can. I think from an outside people, and a lot of our friends say to us like, "Oh, Raquel and Adam, like they're loaded." It's like, no, like we're not.
It's funny when you say like when you hear you're killing it. Like I used to get that, and it's just like, no, I don't feel like that.
I don't feel like that.
No, I don't feel I'm successful whatsoever. So it's like a bit of an imposter syndrome going on there, which I think is very common, particularly the more successful you become.
We had challenges with obviously finance, but we tried to scale in places probably too hard too soon, I think, and we chose some partners to do that with, like to launch into the UK. We had a big problem there. We signed contracts that we didn't know how to read properly, and you're still early days. You don't have a legal team. You just sign it because you take their word for it, and ultimately you can get really badly like fucked over if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you're getting yourself into. So we signed a really bad contract with a big company to launch us into the UK. And I was on a call last night trying to get out of it still after a year now. It was a year ago that we signed the contract. So that's been an ongoing challenge. I think that some, agencies, I know you have a great agency, but some agencies after we moved from you to others, we just had some bad experiences with people,
Majority are fucked.
Yeah. And I spoke on a podcast the other day about it, and I talked, to some bad agencies, and I talked about you guys and how, you guys are just doing so well, and it's not all agencies are bad. No. I do think that the majority are bad, to be fair.
Agreed. But most aren't even agencies. They're probably just someone sitting behind their computer at home calling themselves an agency. The barrier to entry is so easy to build a service agency business. You're trading time for money essentially at the start.
So we made some wrong decisions on that. And I made those decisions and I put us into those problems. But it's sort of brought us to where we are through, leaving some of those agencies and then doing things in-house and just being fed up with the bad results and being fed up with the bullshit excuses that we were getting from people to just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm doing this. And I think that when you look back on some of those really hard times, the cliches, they make you don't see it in the moment. But, when you zoom out and you look back, you're not like grateful for the moment, but it actually like it's helped you get to where you are.
They're necessary mistakes to make in order for you to grow.
You just don't see it at the time.
For sure. It's like us, we take the wrong brand on sometimes. And then that becomes a disaster. It can actually cause staff to not want to even be there. And I think it's certain agencies are fit for certain businesses at different stages of their growth as well. Like even when we were working with you guys probably 3 or 4 years ago, it seems like a long time ago.
It was very early days.
We only did ads. There was no creative, I think if I put myself in my shoes 3 years ago, there's probably a lot less that I knew then that I know now. And then now we've got resources to be able to do almost everything, but still sticking to our USP, which is media buying, advisory, management. But like being able to assist brands with content, with okay, your website's shit, let's get a new website, with your back end systems and support, your email marketing, like design, copywriting, like there's so many elements there. And I think it's important for you guys to align yourself with the right people that have those resources in place, and now you've got the ability to do it in house.
It's so key, and I think that it's not just about ads.
No.
I
say it all the time. It's like ads ain't going to solve your problem.
I used to think that they would.
The ad,
and that's the thing.
How good is your email follow up? How good is your text message? How good is your website? How good is your team at making content? And how attached are you to certain results that you need to let go of?
We do more advisory and leadership and like stuff outside of the ad more so than we do in the ad. Like the ads are just it's a commoditized thing. I'm not saying that it's an easy skill. Like our account director Matthew is easily one of the best in Australia at doing it. We've got a great team, but if we didn't have the advisory component, and all of us have grown to be able to advise a business as a whole now, which has helped with retention so much. Like But yeah, it's not about the ad. But like everything that you guys have done has allowed the ads to be successful.
Yeah.
You know, like everything we've spoken about today, plus all the other stuff you're doing right now. And we're in the middle of a huge sale period right now. And like the ROAS you guys are getting, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right? 50x. You know, it's not just from clicking a button. It's like it's that brand has allowed you to get 50x, right?
Yeah.
Aside from obviously placing great ads.
Yeah, I think that it's you know, leading into Black Friday, I said, you know, to Raquel, you know, I put a lot of pressure on myself and the team to see how hard we could go at an event like a proper Black Friday. Last year we sent a text and did an Instagram post, and I don't even think we had an ads going, right? So like, and we still did really well, which means the brand is strong.
Yeah.
But this year I just wanted, obviously I'd learned a lot this year about structure and campaigns and how to actually put spend behind things and how to manage the money and manage the accounts. And I just knew I've got quite a decent appetite for risk within reason, and I'll just push and see what happens. I have the support of my wife, you know, who is, you know, part of the business as well. So I know that I can push these buttons and pull these levers, and she's not going to divorce me, or she's not going to, you know, tell me to stop because she believes that I can do it.
Or if she divorces you, she loses her CEO.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think
double whammy.
I think that, you know, coming into big sale periods like this, what you do outside of your ad account over the 6 months in the lead up, not that you should be like 6-7 months out, okay, let's build our list for Black Friday now. It should just be normal business as usual. Like, what are you doing to create brand? How are you being different? And how are you acquiring customers daily in business as usual so that you can capitalize on these events? Like, we only run, you know, a hype phase ads for 4 or 5 days before the event. So you've got those 4 or 5 days and you're really targeting like your middle of funnel and your bottom of funnel to get those repeat customers in. And then you're relying on new customers through 2 or 3 top of funnel campaigns.
Yeah.
But your spend goes to bottom and mid because you're trying to get them in. Top of funnel is sort of spend less. But on the day we had 80% new customers. So that means, where do they all come from? They came from buying stuff from our wholesalers. They came from the girls handing out samples in a line at a Beckham Bridge event. They came from, you know, someone, you know, looking up to Raquel. Like, it comes from everywhere. So there's a lot of brands that I know that they just live in their ad accounts and their ROAS all day, all long. And when it comes to an event like this, and they put too much hope into their strategy for how big we're going to go with not actually doing the work beforehand.
Yeah, agree.
So it makes a really big difference on the day.
Yeah, and like the ads are only going to work from a middle and bottom point of view, dependent upon the amount of web traffic you have.
Yes.
And you guys are getting web traffic not just online, but from everywhere now. So it's like, having multiple touch points. And I mentioned it on our previous episode. There's like 20, 25 plus average touch points that a customer will make before making a buying decision.
Wow.
Like, it was a lot less 10 years ago because there's more saturation. Yeah. So I think that's been your breakthrough from what I see, is that you've got more touch points everywhere. You know, people are talking about it. They know the brand. I get, you know, whenever I wear it in a taxi or an Uber, they're like, what is that? It's like, that's when you know.
And then the name sticks, right? The name sticks when someone asks you about it. What are you wearing? And I get like guys DM me all the time saying, hey man, I bought your fragrance and I was at the pub and this guy come up to me and asked me what I was wearing. And I find that so like
so cool,
interesting and cool. And the dynamic of 2 guys that don't know each other appreciating how they smell. He's like, I think it's cool. My mates work on.
I'm smelling fantastic right now. I've got a mixture. I'm smelling good. Best I've smelled. Like, if you could do it all over again, if you could just hit the reset button and go, we're going to create the same brand, whether you call it the same or not, what would you do differently, knowing what you know now?
I would keep the name the same.
100%.
I wish I started with this packaging.
I didn't mind the old packaging, but when you did the new packaging, I'm like, oh yeah, 100%, sold.
I think that might have would have can't talk.
Might have would have helped.
Might have would have could have worked.
Might have would have could have.
It's Friday.
Might have I don't know, got us into luxury retail a little bit sooner. But again, we probably wouldn't have been ready at the beginning to be in luxury retail or have the cash flow. So I don't know, honestly, maybe not change anything. I mean, definitely would have signed contracts. If anyone listening, do not sign anything. We've got a rule now. We won't sign anything. If you want to work with us, it's contract free.
Oh, really?
Well, as much as we can, because like if you have a service that you think is so good, then let's show it. Like, show us first.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just we've been burned so much.
I think for people listening, like a boring thing that's really important in the early days is that your relationships with your suppliers is massive. So we were paying for stock up front from China, our packaging and our bottles and whatever, paying for stock up front and then waiting for it to be 50% deposit, then they start making it, and then it leaves China, and then you pay, and then it's 4 or 5 weeks on a boat. So you've paid for stock that you have no ability to sell, and you're so far behind. And then you give that stock to wholesale partners that are on 30 days and 60-day terms, and you literally burn your cash in 6 months.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
gone,
Yeah.
and it's actually cash you don't even have. It's almost all on loan.
Yeah, well.
Right.
Yeah.
So your relationship with your suppliers, getting them on like 60-day terms from delivery, so that you can have time to make the product and sell it and then pay them back. Like things like that are really big movers in early days.
Yeah.
We've only just come good.
Which we don't even have that yet. We're hopefully about to, but we're not too bad now. But that took like 4 years.
It took like 4 years to get
and
to
I wonder
that
if we
point.
would have even been able to get that at the beginning. Probably not.
No, well, now that we have leverage because of the volume, we can go back with that now. But I think like that's a big thing that we didn't dive into earlier. Obviously the brand was really strong. I think, building the team, I don't think we would have done anything differently, to be honest with. Obviously we went through pain, but like
I got us here.
it got us here. So nothing major that we would change.
No regrets.
No regrets.
I mean, there's regrets, but they got us here, so it's okay.
We all have regrets, but we just bury them. Just move on.
Sweep it under the rug.
Sweep it under the rug. The rug's getting a bit full. I want to talk about culture because we've spoken about the team, and just how good it is to have a team who you guys get along with, and they seem like they're all your friends right now. Hiring as well is also often quite a hot topic. I know, like off the back of COVID, it was really difficult for a lot of companies, even ourselves, to find good talent, and you're often left with sometimes mediocre talent that you're sort of between a rock and a hard place with, and you sort of want to get rid of them, but you can't find other talent. Like you guys are now 30 strong in the warehouse, or moving into the juggernaut. How have you guys been able to the recruitment process, like who's doing that, because I think that's a job in itself, that's something you can bottle up. I think recruitment, but how have you been able to sustain culture and the quality of talent? Is it just your friends? Like, you're going out headhunting?
We've only just started to get like office admin staff most recently, but at the beginning it was all warehouse staff, so like our production, filling the perfume bottles, packaging, and that started with hiring Kiki.
It's so therapeutic to see all the packaging happen as well. Like that content's great.
I worked in the warehouse the other day, actually. It was really fun. I hired, my first employee was my friend, and then she, when we started growing and she needed help, so she would just find a friend that wanted to come work, and Brie, and then is there anyone else from back? Anyway, so then it sort of started like that. So they're not, most of them now weren't our friends, but they have become friends now, which is nice. So the warehouse has been easy. We've never put an ad out or seen a resume, to be honest. I mean, no one's worked at a perfume factory before in Sydney, so you're not going to find anyone with experience.
Yeah, true.
But then in terms of the office roles, we're not good recruiters. I mean, I'll put my hand up. I've said to the team now, I'm not anywhere near HR. I'm not hiring anyone.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. I know you're really good at HR.
Yeah. I've also made mistakes with it too, though. HR is a huge draw and suck from a business owner. Like you don't want to get involved in it.
No. So we've actually just started working recently with my old boss. She was the director of HR at the hotel company I worked for, and I was her assistant, and we just remained friends. And then we've always stayed in touch over the years, and she just started working back with us. So she's going to help us recruit roles that we want to hire for now, and I've just sort of said whoever wants to hire someone from our team plus working with Laura, they hire together. So it's like you got that, you know, she's probably 13 years experience now.
We have an advisor, Paul Waddy, as well. He's like amazing, works with G'd Up.
Yeah.
He's works with Mason DeSabo, and he's had lots of big brands that he's worked with. One of the OGs at Chopo back in the day.
Yeah, Jane Lou.
With Jane. So he's in our office once a month. He was with us yesterday, and you know, he jumps on these interview calls and asks questions that we don't know how to ask, and he's very like, you know, protective of us and the brand, and he doesn't want anyone to come in that he can see immediately that might be a red flag. So
it only takes one person as well.
It only takes one, and
toxicity.
I think from like a culture perspective and how we keep it fun is like, I mean, I genuinely care about their careers. Like, I want to see them succeed. And there's this sort of old mentality of you work for me and you do what I tell you. And I just think that that's bullshit, to be fair. And I genuinely feel when I come to work for them because they have chosen to choose us as their career path. They could go anywhere else. They could sacrifice their time for money anywhere else. And they've chosen, we've allowed them to do this, but they've chosen us. So we have a responsibility to them to grow them as individuals. And I genuinely put a lot of effort into all the girls individually, and it means a lot to me. Like it's as important to me as making the numbers.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like, what can I do for you guys?
Yeah,
like that's one thing that I always say to everyone coming in and out of GMS is like, whether you're here for a short time or long time, and you know you shed your skin with different team members over time. It's just natural. It's what happens. You can't expect anything to last forever. Yeah. But I always say, so long as you're walking out of these doors learning something, you know, so it's like the learning for us is key, because you learn so much within an agency and working across multiple brands and doing so much like manual service labor. And I think for you guys as well, it's like that experience that you guys are providing, the culture. It's like, having that ability to go, you know, so long as you're walking out with something that you can take with your career. Yeah.
And I think like going into the new office, like I don't want to be on the top floor. Like I'm going to be on the middle floor. And
how boring, man. Like, I don't understand people sit in the office.
All the girls are going to be up the top because I don't want to be up the top.
No.
Like, and I think that's important. And when it's like a weekend and they've got one of the birthdays on, like I'll go there as a friend and we'll go for drinks and we'll have fun and we'll party. And it's just like, we're just all friends.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And like going to those things for them is fun for me.
Yeah.
Like
I'm going to start hijacking them.
My mates have got things on. I'm like, I'm going out with the work girls. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so good. So like next year, we're 2024. You know, obviously there's a lot of seasonal stuff going on right now. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas holidays, Boxing Day, New Year's. Like aside from now until, you know, the end of the year and Christmas, I'm sure you guys will be probably working through the break. I know e-commerce is big, but or maybe not. I don't know. But like, what's your sort of plans aside from the Juggernaut warehouse? Like, what does 2024 look like for you guys, and who was Elijah?
Oh, we've got such a good year plan, don't we?
Yeah.
We've I don't know. We just feel like grown-ups now. We've like planned our whole next year. We've never done that before.
Learning to grow up as adults.
Like we've never
sort
planned
to a point.
No, well, some little things. But we've like pretty much planned out the whole year next year in terms of like new products, amazing fragrances coming out, different products. I'm going to do, can I say it?
Yeah.
We're going to do like a lip balm.
Ooh, teaser.
Yeah. We're going to do Elijah Home. Like we've got so much going on. And then I think like we really want to like focus on like the financials, just because it's been such a struggle and we're just over it. I think like that's like a big focus now. Like we can't just be like we need to do a bit more financial planning, I think, because like I'll just fly to America. Like I'm going to go to America next week for 3 weeks, and it's like that costs a lot of money, and you know, and I don't put this what budget. So it's like now, like that's what Paul's so good at. He's like really like honing in on us, like being like, you need to plan for this, and it needs to tell you, if it says you can go, then you can go. If it doesn't, then you don't do it. So I think that's a big focus for us.
Yeah, I think the products is the most exciting part, and you know, planning them and actually hyping them up and doing product drops and doing different things. So that's really exciting. Obviously the Juggernaut's coming, which is cool. So I love that
really
that's the name now, right? So that's going to be cool. Like we've just been talking lots about that. So it's going to be new energy, and you know, we're going to we think this year was, I keep saying this, that we think this year was our breakout year. Like I really think that next year is like our proper breakout year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. It's going to be a good year for all of us.
It will.
I think 2024 is us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think. Oh, so wait. No Coachella next year, or
Coachella.
We are going to
We gotta
Coachella.
go?
We gotta
yeah.
go.
Okay. Yeah, all
April.
We'll
It's
start
already
saving for it then.
Yeah.
We've gotta
Yeah,
go.
I
missed
booked it like
out.
9 months ago.
We had a wedding this year, so we
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
supposed to come.
brother. I know. We're trying to figure out like if we.
If
Maybe
they
get
cancel,
it.
If we finish the wedding really early and just
Get on
done
a
it
plane.
to the airport and get on the plane, we're like, wait,
could get
there's
there for the
time
last-
difference. We're gonna get there. It's gonna be over.
get there for the last 4 hours.
Yeah, pretty much. We're all that desperate to go. So we'll make sure that we head over next year. Bit of fun questions before we finish.
Yep.
I think I've got a good grasp of this, but who wears the pants in the relationship and who wears the pants in the business?
They're honestly the same thing, aren't they?
Well, there's two pants.
There's 2 pants.
One leg in each.
On one leg. I think
It's like
Adam.
the Woody of pants. Just both in there.
I think I'm like pretend tough.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's pretend tough.
So Adam knows to just let me think I'm
You're
in
not that
control.
intimidating.
I'm not that intimidating. He just needs to let me go. Give me 5 minutes and I'll come around. I'm like, oh, actually, I think you'll be better at doing that if you don't mind. So he really does wear the pants, but he knows to let me think that I wear them. So I feel good.
That is a perfect answer.
Very good answer.
Yeah.
That's a very good answer. What would you say to your younger selves? Think of yourselves in high school. What would you say to yourself?
We did it, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a good one.
I
So
think
many
like,
things come to mind.
you know, I do think about this time to time as you get, you know, we're not young as we were, and you know, heading to like mid 30s, late 30s. It's like I remember when I was 18, and there's obviously that saying that, you know, you look back and you actually have the things that you wish for then, and I believe that completely. And I'm just keep fighting, just keep going, and keep trying new things. And say yes. Ask the hot girl out; she'll say yes.
Not just a pretty face, though, right?
Yeah, and just keep going as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
awesome.
I feel like the same. Trust the process. Don't kiss that boy. And he's not the love of your life. Because you'll find him.
That's awesome. Now, on the flip side, you know, we've spoken about next year. What's the 10-year plan? Where do you see yourselves? We're going to be mid 40s then.
Speak for yourself. I'm still in my 20s.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah. You've got.
She'll
a
be
little
late
bit.
30s.
Yeah, you'll
Late
catch up
30s.
to us.
Turning 40 in a week.
Adam and I will be mid 40s.
Yeah.
But yeah, like where do you see you guys in 10 years? Like and like at the end of the day, 40's still
It's young.
young. Like
yeah,
I'm
not fussed about being 40.
I've got friends in my 40s, I've got friends in my 20s. I feel like when you get into your 30s,
It's just like blends.
it's just the same.
Yeah.
It's like from 30
You
to
can choose,
even
you
like
can
high
even
20s to
choose,
40. It's
you
like
can choose to be. I'm going to be more 25-year-old
Yeah.
today, but then I can also.
I'm going to
choose
be 25
40-year-old.
Blake, and then I'm going to be 40 Blake,
Blake, yeah.
particularly the next day after
Yeah.
a drink. It's 40 Blake, or maybe 50 Blake.
Yeah.
But yeah, so true. Like, yeah, it's not like time goes fast. We all know that.
Yeah.
And the older you get, the more you appreciate that
Yeah.
we're not here forever.
Yeah.
Time goes super
So
quick.
fast.
Yeah.
10 years, you know, would love to be able to sort of see what life will be then. But yeah, what do you guys?
I'll let you answer that one.
What's the big master plan for you guys?
I think genuine world domination with Who's Elijah. You know,
World domination.
like-
So juggernaut to domination.
Everywhere.
yeah, and maintaining a really cool brand as we go and do it. You know, let's get to this, 250 million revenue.
Yeah.
Let's build a really big, significant thing that, goes down in the history books as one of the biggest things to be made out of Australia. I think that if you're not thinking like that, then you might be setting your ceiling too low.
Yeah.
So I genuinely think about that stuff all the time.
That's awesome.
And I think the brand has the legs to get there. I think that we can do it.
I
and-
totally agree.
Yeah, and I think that, it's going to be a fun ride, and as long as we keep our feet on the ground and, we don't get too ahead of ourselves and, go after shiny lights and different things, I think that, and having people around us that do, keep us, in that right path is really important. And I do genuinely believe we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raquel, same?
The same. I don't know. I just want to be happy. I still people always say oh, you guys must be wanting to sell soon. And I'm like, no, I feel like we're just getting started. But I mean, of course we talk about and think about Estee Lauder knocking on our door in 10 years and offering us heaps of money to buy it all. But even then I like kind of get a bit closed off and like maybe we'll sell half of it. But I think it's hard, like do we want to be what's it called, like a heritage brand? Obviously we can't do that on our own. Like you need one of those long standing like big I never know how to say that, conglomerates to come on board.
Conglomerate.
Yeah,
We're using some big words here.
So many big words. I'm so smart. Yes, I think it's like, do we want that? Of course. If we want that, we need someone like that to join us soon. We're not ready for it yet. We don't want it yet. But, you know, in 10 years, I think we'd be more than ready.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I have full faith for you guys. It's been absolutely incredible to not only watch your journey, but to be part of that journey, you know, as dear friends, and also just to see the amazing things you've done and that you're going to do. And I think world domination is just around the corner.
Awesome.
You guys.
Thanks,
Thanks for being on. And guys, if you haven't been sold into Elijah, go and buy it now. 40% off store wide Black Friday before it runs out. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.